It might not be love, it might be invisible sea creatures in the air. I was sat there in the office, I think it was Tuesday. Could have been Monday, but it might have been Tuesday. The days all merge into one for me. I'm the age. Anyway, I'm sat there and this email lands in my email box. And it's from Nick. And it says, well, it's headed, Quest for the Invisibles. I think to myself, oh yeah, let's have a read of this then. Turns out it's from Nik Hayes. He's a UFO photographer. And he's on a quest to find invisible creatures in the skies, invisible, mind you, being the word, invisible creatures in the skies over Oxfordshire. He believes he's found a whole host of animals in the sky, including jellyfish over Radley and Abingdon. Nick's here now, he's in the studio with me. Hello, sir.
Hi, Malcolm.
Yeah, lovely to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Tell me about this. People will be thinking we're mad here. Invisible sea creatures in the air above Radley and Abingdon.
Well, that's right, Malcolm. A couple of years ago I decided to start filming in the infrared and the ultraviolet after reading a book by a guy called Trevor James Constable. Now, Trevor went into the desert, the Mojave Desert in the 1950s and managed to film a whole host of invisible creatures using a normal camera with infrared film. And I was quite taken by this, so I decided to get myself a camera and a camcorder, get the necessary things done to remove the optical limitations which us humans have and which the camera has. And I thought I'd start filming, see what I could find in the skies.
So you've taken a normal camera, have you, and you've modified it?
Yes, I sent it off to a company in America. There's a thing called a hot mirror, which is inside, and that basically gets rid of all the invisible light which can ruin a photograph, like the invisible sort of infrared and the ultraviolet. So it's just to give you a clear photo so that the photos look like how you see it. And this hasn't been removed, and with the camera I've had a 720 nanometer infrared pass filter placed where the hot mirror would be.
Yeah.
So basically all the natural light is blocked, the ultraviolet's blocked, and basically I just see everything above 720 nanometers, which is infrared.
So basically you can see things that I can't.
Yes, and with the camcorder, it's what's called a full spectrum camcorder. Again, I've had the hot mirror taken out, and in its place is a piece of clear quartz, and that opens up the whole spectrum, which is infrared, ultraviolet and visible. Then I use various filters to filter out the part of the spectrum I want to see or don't want to see. So basically, for the sea creatures that I've been filming, I've been using a 330 nanometer ultraviolet pass filter. Now that filters out the infrared and the natural light, the normal visible light, and leaves just the invisible.
What are these sea creatures?
Well, they appear
what
to be...
do you think they are?
I just think they're just a life form, just on a different level. I believe there's lots of different levels existing or coexisting at the same time, and I believe these are just part of an array of lots of creatures and things that are living sort of in the atmosphere and maybe the stratosphere.
Nick, did you expect to find creatures when you set off on this adventure? Because you've read a book about it, so you know that they are there.
Yes.
Sort of. And you see what I did when I said there, quote marks, invisible.
Yeah.
Did you expect to find them in Oxfordshire? Are they everywhere, in your opinion?
In my opinion, they are everywhere, yes.
What are they?
They just seem to be just life forms that are existing in a sort of heat-based kind of existence.
So you expected to find them?
Not as quick as I did. I actually started filming in the infrared, and I came across a few strange things. But I found with the ultraviolet, these things seem to be a lot nearer. What I basically do is block the sun out with the top of the roof, which is known as the sun obliteration technique, and I sort of zoom in a little and basically just wait for these creatures to come by. And every now and then you'll see something quite big coming by. You know, when you slow the footage down and look, you'll see that they've got fins, and they look pretty much like the sea creatures that we have in the sea.
Aren't they clouds?
No. Well, basically, I film on cloud. The only time I film is when there's a full sun and there's a totally cloudless sky. I film when we have a blue sky. I don't film when there's clouds about.
Okay, so you have to have a blue sky.
A pure blue sky,
That's
yes.
how you like it.
Yes.
You set your camera up on the railway track, the old railway track at Radley.
Well, basically, yeah, I walk along the old railway track with my infrared camera, and yes, and I sort of shoot into the sky. But with the ultraviolet, it's a bit different. I actually do that around where I live, just around the outside of the house or in the neighbourhood. I find a nice tall building to block the sun, and I set the camcorder up on a tripod.
And then you're away.
But obviously the sun moves. You have to keep moving the position of the camcorder because as the sun's rising in the sky,
Yeah, I've got it. If you want to have a look at these pictures, have a look now and tell me what you think. Go to facebook.com/BBC Oxford and you will see what we're talking about. So if you can't quite visualise it, and I appreciate it's difficult to visualise what we're talking about. I'm easy because I've got a picture in front of me. We'll try and describe it for you in a minute. But tell us what you think of these creatures. The fact that they're sea creatures and that they're flying over Abingdon, I mean, that doesn't make sense to people. Are they sea creatures, or have you just thought they look like sea creatures, so we'll call them sea creatures?
Well, they seem to, a lot of them seem to look very similar to fish. They're fish-like forms.
Like jellyfish?
Yeah, well, yeah, I haven't actually bought the picture of the jellyfish this time. I bought a few of the other ones, which have got more of the fish-like features. But I filmed quite a few of them. These are just sort of the best photographs. I mean, I filmed some of them in groups, some of them, you know, just by themselves. But the thing is, when I film them, they get lit up just for a few seconds so they hit the full sunlight. With most of them, the moment they pass the full sunlight, they're totally invisible. Even
could just be a trick of light.
Well, it's a good trick of light, really.
You're convinced about this, are you?
Yes, well, I've been doing this now for 3 or 4 years, and there's a lot of other people that have actually filmed similar stuff in the infrared. I'm not sure about the ultraviolet. I've not come across people exploring the ultraviolet like I am.
Oh, so there's more than just you around with this on the quest for the invisibles.
Yes, everyone's doing their own thing. I mean, a lot of people are concentrating on the basic UFO things, you know, ships from other planets and stuff, where I've decided to leave that. I'm more interested, really, in the fact that a lot of UFOs seem to be alive. And they seem to spend a lot of time in the invisible.
If they're alive, how are they existing? What are they eating?
Well, I think
why would they be invisible to us?
Well, I think there's certain limitations that humans have got, and I think it's probably a good reason for that. I think if we were walking around seeing these things at head height, it might be quite alarming. But I think they feed on energy. They seem to often congregate near sort of electric points, like across fields where you get the pylons and things like that, and near lights as well. They've actually been filmed taking energy from lights by a man called Trevor James Constable. And also I've got a book written by a group from Italy, the GRCU. They were a group of scientists who filmed in the infrared, and they filmed lots of things, including creatures that seem to be taking energy from lights, you know, leaving trails from lights, and, you know, they filmed lots and lots of different things.
What are you going to do with your research, Nick? Is it your ambition to put these pictures, these images, let's call them, into a book?
Yes, well, I mean, really, when I started filming, I didn't think it would go as well as it did, but I set up a website, www.questfortheinvisibles.org, and that's basically like a platform for me to, you know, show the photographs. And there's a link on that website which will take you to the Quest for the Invisibles YouTube channel, and you can actually watch live videos of these creatures flying. I've compiled a lot of the footage I've got, and I've made a series of videos called Hidden Reality, and you can find Hidden Reality 1, 2 and 3 on the YouTube site, and there's a link to that on the actual Quest for the Invisibles website.
Do you think it's important, Nick, that we all keep an open mind?
I think it's very important to keep an open mind.
You know what I'm saying? People listening to us now will think, well, this is far-fetched.
Yes, well, I mean, have a look at the pictures and be the judge yourself. You know, have a look, see what you think. I mean, I'm not making any wild statements. I'm saying, you know, I photograph these things, film them, and they're there. You know, people can look at them and make what they want. I mean, you know,
yes,
that's it, you know.
You're not saying I've seen this without the evidence, because I'm looking at the evidence now.
Well, that's right. Those that you've got in front of you now are actually stills taken from live footage.
Are they really?
They are indeed, yes.
With your video?
Yes, that's right, yes.
OK. Questfortheinvisibles.org is his website. And how long did you say you've been doing this?
I started beginning of 2010, in that long winter that went on to about March.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I first sent off my my camera, the infrared camera. I sent it off to get an infrared filter put inside so that I could film in the infrared. But unfortunately, you know, the only time I can do it is really when there's a nice sunny day, void of clouds. Really, because a lot of the creatures I film can look quite white and translucent, and, you know, you can't have clouds there because, you know, you need to know in yourself nothing visible is there. And also I film with a normal camera sometimes as well, especially with the live footage, and these things don't come out on a normal camera. They sometimes come out on a camcorder, very, very faintly. And I think that's because camcorders are very sensitive, you know, especially on a hot sunny day with blue sky.
You're creating quite a reaction from your appearance on the radio today, but you probably expected that.
Yeah.
Put your headphones on. Tom's in Leamington. He's an imposter. He's an illegal listener, but we embrace him. Hello, Tom.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. You're very kind.
No, you're very welcome. Nick's with me. He can hear you now. I've got the pictures in front of me. What do you make of what you're hearing on the radio today?
Well, I'm sure it was purely coincidence that you had Professor Brian Cox on earlier, Malk, but I struggle to believe, I'm of his school of thought, I struggle to believe that, you know, we've put men on the moon, we're exploring Mars, we've created all of these wondrous technical achievements at the expense of hundreds of millions of pounds, and then that some bloke can send his camera off to have a mirror taken out in America, and suddenly there's a big Portuguese man-o'-war sailing over Abingdon. Just doesn't really rest well with me, Malcolm.
I don't think he believes what you're saying. Yeah. He's got a point, hasn't he? I mean, there's all these machines available. How come you've done this with just a very crude-looking machine?
Well, this is all it needs. I mean, you just need to remove the optical limitations, which as humans have. You know, there's a lot going on in the infrared and the ultraviolet. I mean, I say to people, try this yourself.
But why haven't they been discovered before, I think, is his point, isn't it, Tom?
There's a man named...
Yeah.
I was going to say, the man named Trevor James Constable, in the 50s, he discovered similar things in the Mojave Desert, filming with a standard camera with infrared film. There's a lot of people doing this. There's a site set up called Roswell Rods, which has got lots of people's photographs and footage. But, you know, have a look yourself, get yourself a camera and have a look yourself.
Yeah, go on, Tom.
The thing is, Nick, I'm a university student.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm now looking for jobs and employment and that sort of thing coming to my graduation.
Yes.
And a lot of people tell me it's not who you know, but what you know. So what you're alleging basically is this Trevor James person.
Yeah.
He went
Constable. Yeah.
Yes, that chap. The mistake he made was not going to NASA with his suggestion that there are sea creatures flying above Oxfordshire. And the person who suggested going to the moon, he was the bloke who knew, you know, the NASA government official.
Well, why go to NASA? I mean, I'm not interested in that.
Well, they do space, don't they?
Well, their own version of it, perhaps. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not, you know, I'm not that into it. I just do my own little thing. I'm into nature, you know, and I'm looking at the possibility of many levels of existence existing at the same time. You know, I'm not interested in filming craft and UFOs, really. I'm more interested in these creatures. And if you look at the live footage, you'll see that these are creatures. They are life forms that seem to move with purpose.
OK, go and have a look on the website, Tom. What's the most... Describe for me, Nick, the most fascinating thing you've captured. Describe for our listeners.
To me, it was the jellyfish type creature, which I actually was using the camcorder, and I filmed it just above the house. I was using the top of the roof to block out the sun. I zoomed in slightly, and then this creature went past. You know, tentacle first. It looks very, very much like a jellyfish. I mean, I call it a jellyfish because it looks like a jellyfish. I mean, I'm not saying it is a jellyfish, but you know, that was very, very exciting, and I've since filmed quite a few of these creatures, you know, and they all seem to be travelling sort of tentacle first, and, you know.
And you're certainly not going to give up your quest for the invisibles, are you?
No, definitely not. I've only just started. I've now started filming at night. Yes, I mean, there's a lot I'm doing at the moment. I've got a lot of plans for this year, yes.
We wish you well, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you for your email.
Oh, that's okay.
Thank you for coming on. If you want to have a look at what Nick's talking about, questfortheinvisibles.org. Whether you're a believer or not, you make up your own mind. And Nick, keep me informed. I'll give you these pictures back. You can go to our Facebook page as well if you want to have a look. Thank you for coming on. A fascinating chat.
Oh, thank you, Malcolm.